Well. Here we are, huh? This is it. This is the finale of the final exams. We've been through 9 battles, and now only one remains. And how fitting it is that it ends up being the best battle of the entire arc by a mile, the best episode of the entire arc by a mile, but also right up there with Todoroki origin for the best episode of the entire season. I mean, it has origin in the title. I mean, you should have expected it to be amazing. But nevertheless, let's talk about it. And then after that, we can talk about the epilogue and finish off this second Academia April. So, let's do it. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Image Station, where for anything and everything. Mainstream including heroes fighting for the fate of the world, as well as TV and movies, and host Justin Small. Welcome back to Academia April 2, Season 2, Episode 24 of My Hero Academia, aka Episode 37, titled Katsuki Bakugou Origin. This is the final battle of the final exams arc. Not the end of the arc itself, there's still one more episode, but we are almost done. Just one more episode after this, but this is the end of the actual exams. And of course it ends on the highest of notes possible, with Deku and Bakugou versus All Might. Yes, they have to fight their idol to pass their exam. And it goes about as well as you expect it to, but it also has a great deal of character development for Bakugou, and this is the episode that made him my favorite character in the entire franchise. Yes, even over Deku, even over Ochiko, this is my favorite character of the entire show. Easily. Yes, he is brash, he loves to yell, but underneath all that is a genuinely fascinating character. Not to mention he's just badass, so I don't know, I guess I'm a sucker for the Vegeta types. But even without that, there is still a lot to talk about with this episode, so we are going to go through the full summary on this one and just go full all-in explanation. We're not going to leave a single detail unturned. So let's not waste any time and dive straight in, because this is a very long summary for a pretty long and very action-packed episode. Let's begin. The last match of the final exams begins practical between Midoriya, Bakugou, and All Might. Midoriya stems the nerve to try and formulate a plan for escaping, but Bakugou, being Bakugou, refuses him and claims that he will defeat their opponent himself. Midoriya continues to try and plead for Bakugou to reconsider, but the latter then strikes Midoriya across the face and demands that he stop speaking. Their argument is then interrupted by a Texas smash all the way from the escape gate on the opposite side of the replica city. The wind pressure from his attack tears the city streets apart and alerts the duo to his intimidating presence. All Might then leaps into action, prompting Midoriya to flee even though Bakugou stands firm. The latter uses his stun grenade technique to blind All Might and moves to attack, but All Might stops him by grabbing onto his face. Of course he does. Rather than try to free himself, Bakugou then focuses on using his explosions rapidly to counterattack, which is where the thumbnail of this video comes from. But I did up the brightness a little bit so it didn't look so dull. I know that the actual anime does this to make it a little easier for people with epilepsy to watch shows like this, but at the same time, for like thumbnails and stuff like that, dark images just don't work very well. So because of that, that's why I took this image and brightened it a little. You're welcome. Not to mention, it's a still image, not an actual moving picture, so you should be fine. The explosions aren't powerful enough to hurt All Might, so he slams Bakugou into the ground before swiftly moving on to Midoriya. Reminded of the hero killer's charisma, Midoriya instinctively retreats. However, Bakugou moves to attack at the same time, and the two end up running into each other. Or more accurately, All Might throws Midoriya into Bakugou. From the monitoring room, Recovery Girl notes that Bakugou simply wants to win, while Midoriya is only thinking of escaping. because Midoriya, more than anyone, knows how strong and powerful All Might is. Bakugou recovers and walks back towards All Might, despite Midoriya pleading otherwise. Bakugou states that he will win because that's what it means to be a hero. These words make Midoriya recall their childhood together, triggering a flashback, and he pleads with Bakugou again. And then Bakugou refutes him, and All Might pins down Izuku using a piece of fence. Bakugou's too slow to react and is sent flying by All Might's subsequent punch, which makes him vomit. Yeah, this is kind of a more politically correct PC version of spitting up blood in Dragon Ball. You know, when Vegeta took that hard hit from Goku's Kaioken punch right in the chest and he spat out a big puddle of blood. That's pretty much what this is, but they're using vomit to get around the censors. Because, you know, television nowadays is just so freaking sensitive. As Izuku looks on, he remembers when he and Bakugou watched a video of All Might defeating villains 4-on-1 as young children. Bakugou was so excited and inspired because All Might always found a way to win no matter what, which gives him the motivation to become a hero. Then Midoriya admits to himself that he's always admired Bakugou's will to win, because Bakugou has been an inspiration to him. All Might confronts Bakugou and deduces that he's been fighting so hastily because he's angry over Midoriya's improvement. He tries to encourage Bakugou to realize his potential, but Bakugou states he would rather lose than work with Midoriya. Once again in character. All Might decides to finish him off, but Midoriya quickly intervenes and punches Bakugou away. Midoriya then yells at Bakugou to never say he'd rather lose, and then grabs him before retreating into a back alley. Bakugou then makes Midoriya put him down, and the latter pleads one last time for Bakugou not to give up because it's not who he is. Midoriya then recalls a time when, as a first grader, Bakugou defended himself against two older kids because he believed the most amazing hero always wins in the end. So, yeah, we are getting a good bit of development for Bakugou and why he wanted to become a hero. Although Bakugou is angry, he reluctantly agrees to work with Midoriya so they can achieve victory. When All Might passes one of their alleyways, Bakugou jumps out and distracts him. This gives Midoriya the opening to get behind All Might and using one of Bakugou's grenade bracers to blast All Might with a large explosion. Then they flee at top speed towards the escape gate using their quirks. All Might is impressed with their teamwork and understands that fixing the tandem relationship is still a long-term task. But progress is progress. Even so, he's determined to use this exam as a starting point for them and promises to do his best to school them. As the boys run, Bakugou states that he is aware of the attack and that it didn't phase the symbol of peace and declares he will blast him the next time. Overhearing this, All Might catches up to them in an instant and questions his next plan before he quickly breaks both of the grenade bracers. Yeah, as stated before, All Might is one super powerful son of a bitch. He knees Bakugou into a nearby building and then grabs onto Midoriya. When Bakugou recovers and tries to rush All Might, the number one hero slams Midoriya into him again before pinning them both down. Bakugou then ponders All Might's overwhelming strength and admits that All Might is the world's most unstoppable force. Obviously, Bakugou is not aware that All Might is running out of time and that he can only do this for less and less time from every battle. You know, because his time as the symbol of peace is coming to an end and all that. In the face of this adversity, Bakugou realizes he must push himself to overcome this wall. He uses his explosions at maximum output to blow All Might away. Then Bakugou grabs Midoriya and sends him flying towards the escape gate, telling him get ready to fly. These two have such a natural but hilarious chemistry with each other. All Might counters with a New Hampshire smash that nearly breaks Midoriya's back. Bakugou then flies at All Might, admitting that he was foolish for believing he could fight the symbol of peace without taking any risks. He blasts All Might with more of his super explosions, constantly injuring himself because quirks are just like physical abilities. They're going to get tired out after a while. Midoriya moves slowly towards the escape gate due to his injury, knowing that All Might will have to stop him, giving Bakugou an opening. However, when Bakugou capitalizes, All Might is able to ultimately defeat him. Even so, Bakugou bites down All Might's hand and refuses to accept that he can't win the way he is chosen, even if he has to destroy himself. Inspired by Bakugou's resolve, Midoriya leaps into action and punches All Might in the face. Yes, he punches his idol, showing that he is once again growing as a character. He quickly grabs Bakugou and makes for the escape gate. All Might notes that Midoriya could have escaped alone, but it's always been the part of his being to help those in need. Once again, going all the way back to episode 1 or 2? I think it was 2. Episode 2, where Deku tried to save Bakugou from that sludge monster. So they're still keeping the core values of his character intact. They're just moving him forward with development. He goes on to say that in those moments where Midoriya is rescuing others, there isn't an obstacle hard enough that can stop him. Together, Bakugou and Midoriya pass through the gate and pass the exam, ending the final exams overall. In Recovery Girl's office, she heals Midoriya and Bakugou while berating All Might for hitting them too hard, even though he was just following the orders of the principal, so she should be yelling at the principal, but whatever. All Might muses over the boys' performance, and proud that they can both grow stronger together because they smile in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, at the League of Villains hideout, the only bit of this we're going to get in this episode, Kurogiri questions Tomura, what was her last name? That's Shigaraki. Sorry, wrong one. Shigaraki's interest in Midoriya. They're then interrupted by Okuda, who interrupts them and introduces Shigaraki to Dabi and Toga. Dabi tells Shigaraki he's much grosser looking in person, and Toga is excited to join the League of Villains. And that is where the episode ends, and we're not going to get any follow-up on that part until the next episode. So, yeah, this entire episode is pretty much all about Bakugou and Deku versus All Might, and it is just as amazing as it sounds. Like, they did not skimp out here. This is one of the best fights of the entire season, without a doubt, and one of the best episodes of the season, without a doubt, because they gave Bakugou so much character development in just 22 minutes. It's legit impressive. Okay, enough about that. Now let's get on to my final thoughts, shall we? Once my Facebook loads. There we go. Alright, my final thoughts. In the words of my good friend Clayton Martin, whenever there's origin in the title, expect something amazing. And while I did love Todoroki's episode, I glowed all about that episode, go watch that review if you haven't already, this one just might be even better, and ends the final exams on a huge bang. Not the whole arc, because there's still one more episode, but the end of the actual exams ends here. Everything from the battle itself, to the music, to the storytelling, to the writing, to the animation, to the character development is absolutely phenomenal. And it is all topped off by one hell of an incredible performance from Bakugou's voice actor, Clifford Chaplin. Seriously, he is amazing as Bakugou, but this is one of those moments where he really gets to shine. This was the episode that made Bakugou my favorite character in the entire series. Yes, even over Deku and Ochako, showing that he was more than a one-dimensional bully and actually had complexity. Best episode of the entire arc by a mile, and right up there with Shoto Todoroki Origin for the best episode of the entirety of Season 2. Only one episode left, final verdict for this episode, easy, high, and well-deserved, 11 out of 10. Check it out if you haven't seen it, it is definitely one of the best of the season, and one of the best of the entire show. And that's it. That's all I've got for this episode, and now we only have one left. The big season finale, where Class 1A goes shopping, and Midoriya ends up getting taken hostage by Shigaraki. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about next time, to say the least, so thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And until next time, stay plus ultra. I will see you for the Season 2 finale, Encounter. Fighting for what comes up ahead.